the city that should never have existed. Have you ever wondered how one of America's richest and most powerful cities was built? On a swamp. A city where summer temperatures can feel unbearable, where hurricanes have destroyed entire neighborhoods, where floods have turned highways into rivers, and yet, millions of people continue moving here every single year. How is that possible? What if I told you that Houston wasn't supposed to become a great city at all? It had no mountains, no gold, no natural harbour, no famous landmarks. In fact, many people believed it was one of the worst places anyone could build a city. But today, Houston is America's energy capital, home to NASA's Mission Control, one of the busiest ports in the world and one of the most diverse cities on Earth. So how did a muddy wilderness become one of the world's most important cities? The answer is filled with ambition, disasters, unbelievable luck, and one decision that changed American history forever. Stay until the end, because the final truth about Houston's rise is something most Americans have never been taught. Let's travel back more than 10,000 years, long before highways, before skyscrapers, before oil wells. This land belonged to nature. Dense forests stretched for miles. Tall grass covered the open prairies. Buffalo wandered across the landscape. Alligators ruled the slow-moving bayous, and Native American tribes such as the Karankawa and Atakapa knew every river, every marsh, and every hidden path through this wild land. To outsiders, it looked dangerous. To them, it was home. The winding Buffalo Bayou wasn't just a river, it was life itself. It provided fish, fresh water, transportation, and protection. For thousands of years, this land remained almost untouched, but everything changed in the early 1800s. The revolution was about to create a brand new nation. In 1836, Texas won its independence from Mexico after the famous Battle of San Jacinto. The Republic of Texas was born. Everyone was thinking about the future. New towns needed to be built. New businesses needed to grow. And two ambitious brothers saw an opportunity no one else believed in. Their names were Augustus Allen and John Allen. They weren't famous generals. They weren't wealthy politicians. They were businessmen with a bold idea. The brothers purchased more than 6,000 acres of land near Buffalo Bayou. There was only one problem. Almost everyone thought the land was terrible. It was muddy, it flooded often. Mosquitoes were everywhere. People joked that only frogs could survive there. But the Allen brothers saw something others couldn't. They looked beyond the swamp. They saw transportation. They saw trade. They saw opportunity. Instead of asking, "What is this place today?" they asked, "What could this place become?" That one question would change history. In August 1836, the brothers officially announced the creation of a new city. They named it Houston. Not after themselves, but after Sam Houston, the hero who had led Texas to victory at San Jacinto and later became the first president of the Republic of Texas. The name immediately attracted attention. Newspaper advertisements promised a bright future. They described Houston as the perfect place for business, a city destined to become the commercial heart of Texas. There was just one small problem. Most of those promises were wildly optimistic. The streets were little more than muddy trails. Buildings were scarce. Wild animals still roamed nearby. After heavy rain, wagons became trapped in deep mud for days. Some visitors arrived, looked around, and left the very next morning. Many believed Houston would disappear within a few years, but they were wrong, because sometimes history rewards people who refuse to quit. Within months, Houston became the temporary capital of the Republic of Texas. Government offices opened, lawyers arrived, merchants followed, hotels began appearing, more families moved in, the city slowly came alive. But Houston's greatest advantage wasn't politics, it was geography. Buffalo Bayou connected inland Texas with the Gulf of Mexico. Steamboats began carrying cotton, timber, and supplies. Every shipment brought more money. Every successful business attracted another. Houston was beginning to find its purpose, but nature had its own plans. Every few years, floodwaters reminded everyone who was really in charge. Roads disappeared underwater, homes were damaged, businesses struggled. Some people packed everything they owned and moved away forever. Once again, many predicted Houston's end, but the city survived. Again, and again, and again. Every disaster made the people tougher. Every setback made them rebuild bigger than before. Without realizing it, Houston was developing an identity that still defines it today: resilience. Then, just when Houston seemed to have found its rhythm, a discovery beneath Texas soil would change not only this city, but the entire world: black gold, oil. And what happened next transformed Houston from a struggling southern town into a future global powerhouse. The story of that incredible transformation is even more unbelievable than the city's beginning, and that's where our journey continues. Imagine waking up one morning and discovering that the ground beneath your feet is worth billions of dollars. Not gold, not diamonds, something even more valuable, oil. In the early 1900s, Texas was about to experience one of the greatest economic explosions in American history, and Houston was standing in exactly the right place. But here's the twist. The oil wasn't discovered in Houston itself. It was found about 80 miles away at a place called Spindletop on January 10th, 1901. A drilling crew struck oil. At first, there was silence. Then, the earth exploded. A massive black fountain shot nearly 150 feet into the sky. Thousands of barrels of crude oil poured out every single day. People couldn't believe what they were seeing. It looked like the ground itself had burst open. News spread across America faster than anyone imagined. Farmers, investors, engineers, dreamers, everyone rushed to Texas hoping to become rich overnight. The Spindletop oil discovery didn't just change Texas, it changed the modern world. Factories suddenly had cheaper fuel. Cars became more practical. Industries expanded. America entered the age of oil, and Houston was about to become its headquarters. While many towns focused only on drilling, Houston's business leaders thought much bigger. They asked one simple question. If oil is the future, where will all of it be shipped? The answer led to one of the boldest engineering projects in American history. At the time, Houston was nearly 50 miles from the Gulf of Mexico. Large ocean ships couldn't reach the city. Most people accepted that as a permanent limitation, but Houstonians refused to accept it. Instead, they decided to change geography itself. Workers began digging a massive waterway through forests, marshes, and soft Texas soil. It took years of back-breaking labor. Millions of cubic yards of earth were removed. Many believed the project would fail. Others called it a waste of money. But in 1914, the impossible became reality. The Houston Ship Channel officially opened. For the first time, large cargo ships could sail directly into Houston. That single achievement changed everything. Factories appeared almost overnight. Oil refineries lined the channel. Steel plants followed. Chemical companies invested billions. The quiet swamp that people once laughed at was becoming one of the world's busiest industrial centers. Then came another challenge: World War II. As America entered the war, Houston became one of the nation's most important manufacturing cities. Its shipyards worked around the clock. Its refineries produced the fuel that powered Allied ships, tanks, and aircraft. Thousands of men and women worked day and night. Many families had someone serving overseas, while others were helping the war effort from inside Houston's factories. The city wasn't just growing anymore, it was helping shape world history. When the war ended, Houston was stronger than ever. Its population exploded. New neighborhoods appeared, highways stretched farther every year, skyscrapers began changing the skyline. But Houston's next chapter would take the city somewhere no one had ever gone before: space. It's 1961. The Cold War is at its peak. The United States and the Soviet Union are racing to reach the moon. America needs a place to control its human spaceflight program. Many cities wanted the honor, but only one would win: Houston. Why? Because the city already had world-class universities, strong engineering talent, excellent transportation, and plenty of room to grow. NASA selected Houston as the home of its manned spacecraft center. Later, it would become the famous Johnson Space Center. Suddenly, the world's brightest scientists, engineers, mathematicians, and astronauts were moving to Texas. Houston wasn't just producing oil anymore, it was producing history. Then came one sentence, a sentence heard around the entire world. July 20th, 1969. Millions of people gathered around televisions. The Apollo 11 mission was nearing its greatest moment. As Neil Armstrong prepared to step onto the moon, every critical communication passed through mission controller in Houston. That's why astronauts often began their messages with one unforgettable word: Houston. From that moment forward, the city's name became permanently connected with human space exploration. Even today, when people think about America's journey into space, they think about Houston. That nickname wasn't given by accident. It was earned: Space City. But success came with a price. Houston was growing faster than almost anyone expected. More roads, more buildings, more neighborhoods, more concrete, and less natural land to absorb heavy rain. Few people realized it then, but the city's greatest challenge wasn't behind it. It was waiting. Waiting in the Gulf of Mexico, waiting for the next hurricane, waiting for the next flood. And when nature finally struck, it reminded Houston that no amount of money, oil, or technology could completely control the forces of nature. The storms that followed would test the city like never before, and that's where our story continues. The storms that couldn't destroy Houston. If oil made Houston rich, and NASA made it famous, then one thing shaped its character more than anything else: the storms. Because every great city has an enemy. For some, it's war. For others, it's famine. For Houston, it's water. Every summer, people watch the Gulf of Mexico with nervous eyes. A small tropical storm can grow into a monster within days. The sky turns dark, the wind begins to roar, rain falls harder than anyone thinks possible. Then suddenly, streets disappear, cars become islands, neighbourhoods turn into lakes. For generations, Houstonians have lived with one simple question: will this be the storm? Throughout the 20th century, Houston survived hurricane after hurricane. Some caused billions of dollars in damage, others forced thousands of families to leave their homes. Yet every time, the city rebuilt. Bigger, stronger, smarter. Engineers raised roads, new flood control projects were built, emergency systems improved, but nature always seemed ready with another challenge. Then came August 2017, a storm that would become part of American history. Its name was Hurricane Harvey. At first, many people thought it would be another typical hurricane. They were wrong. Harvey stalled over southeast Texas, hour after hour, day after day. Rain kept falling. Some places received more than 60 inches of rain. That's over 5 feet. Neighbourhoods disappeared beneath floodwaters. Entire highways became rivers. Thousands climbed onto rooftops waiting for rescue. Boats floated where cars once drove. Helicopters filled the sky. For days, Houston looked like an ocean. The numbers were almost impossible to believe. More than 300,000 structures were damaged. Hundreds of thousands of vehicles were destroyed. Millions of lives were affected. It became one of the costliest natural disasters in American history. Many believed Houston would never recover, but they underestimated something: the people. During Harvey, strangers rescued strangers, neighbours carried neighbours, restaurant owners cooked free meals, churches opened their doors, mosques welcomed families who had nowhere else to go, schools became shelters, complete strangers risked their own lives to save people they had never met. Thousands of ordinary citizens launched their own fishing boats into flooded neighbourhoods. They became known as the Cajun Navy. No government ordered them. No one paid them. They simply came because people needed help. That spirit reminded America what Houston truly is. Not just a city, a community. But Houston's story isn't only about surviving disasters, it's also about welcoming the world. Today, Houston is one of the most diverse cities in America. More than 145 languages are spoken here. People from every continent have built lives in this city. Walk through Houston, and in a single afternoon, you can taste Mexican tacos, Vietnamese pho, Pakistani biryani, Nigerian jollof rice, Indian curry, Korean barbecue, and authentic Texas barbecue. Few cities on Earth bring together so many cultures in one place. That's not an accident. It's Houston's greatest strength. People arrive with different languages, different traditions, different dreams, but together, they build one city. And while many people still think Houston is only about oil, they're missing the bigger picture. Today, Houston leads in medicine. The Texas Medical Center is the largest medical complex in the world. Every day, doctors, researchers, and scientists work to develop life-saving treatments. Patients travel from around the globe hoping to find answers here. At the same time, Houston continues pushing the boundaries of space exploration. NASA engineers are helping prepare missions that could one day send humans back to the moon, and eventually, to Mars. Think about that. A city that began as a muddy swamp is now helping humanity reach another planet. Now here's something most people never realize. Houston was never supposed to become one of America's greatest cities. It didn't have perfect weather. It didn't have beautiful beaches. It wasn't built on solid ground. It flooded. It struggled. People criticized it. Experts doubted it. Again and again and again. Yet every challenge became another chapter in its success story. The swamp became a shipping empire. The bayou became an international gateway. Oil created opportunity. Innovation created prosperity. Diversity created strength. And resilience created identity. So what's the real secret behind Houston? It isn't oil. It isn't NASA. It isn't skyscrapers. It's the people who refuse to give up. For nearly 2 centuries, every generation has faced something that threatened to stop this city. Economic crashes, deadly storms, floods, disease, wars, and every single time, Houston found a way forward. Maybe that's why millions continue to move here. Because Houston doesn't promise an easy life, it promises opportunity. And for people willing to work hard, that opportunity has changed countless lives. The next time you hear someone say, Houston, don't just think about astronauts. Think about the Native Americans who first called this land home. Think about two brothers who believed a swamp could become a city. Think about the workers who dug a waterway through impossible terrain. Think about the scientists who helped put humanity on the moon. Think about the families who rebuilt after every flood. Because the history of Houston isn't really about buildings. It isn't about oil. It isn't even about Texas. It's about one timeless idea. That impossible dreams become reality when ordinary people refuse to quit. And maybe that's the greatest lesson Houston has ever given the world. If you enjoyed this journey through history, leave a like so more people can discover the incredible story behind one of America's most remarkable cities. Subscribe for more cinematic history documentaries, because in the next episode, we'll uncover another unbelievable true story that changed the world forever. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, because history is never just about the past, it's about understanding the world we live in today.